Okay, I'm Mary Caton, and I'm here with Luke Willson, who is a LaSalle native and more famously now known as the tight end for the Seattle Seahawks, who won the Super Bowl a few weeks ago. Welcome home, Luke.
I appreciate it. I'm pretty excited to be here.
I bet you are. It's been a long run for you. Take us back first to Super Bowl Sunday for a few minutes, if you could, and with the perspective of a couple of weeks, what are some of the defining moments for you on that day?
I think my most memorable part of the whole day was after the game. We were allowed 2 passes to bring 2 people on the field for a celebration. So, you got the confetti going down and the Lombardi trophies out there, and I had my mom and dad come down the field. So kind of be able to share that moment with them was a pretty special thing for me. So they've always supported me growing up and everything I've done and all my endeavors. And I'm sure there were some hockey trips and baseball trips that they probably didn't want to take me on, but maybe I thought just to kind of share that with them was pretty unique.
Oh, that is awesome. Were you able to spot them in the crowd during the game at all?
I actually was. We had a family section, and one of my brothers said, "Hey, we're going to have the Canadian flag, so if you can find the family section, look for the Canadian flag." And as soon as we jogged in, I kind of went up there and I saw them waving the Canadian flag around, and it was a pretty cool feeling just to have your brothers, your sister, and your mom and dad there when you're playing Super Bowl. I mean, it was pretty euphoric to just be there in front of them, and I was glad they were there to see everything.
Absolutely. And now everybody sees the aftermath on TV on the field, as you mentioned. What happens after that? Do they have like a team reception for you guys? Is there a big blowout party somewhere for everybody? Yeah,
believe it or not, there is. So they had kind of all the family members and obviously all the team members came back. Not everyone participated in it, but at the hotel that we were staying in Jersey City. And so we get out there, and they had Macklemore was on stage playing. Wow. And they got the open bars, and everyone's kind of family around. It was a pretty cool atmosphere, and especially I couldn't imagine what it would have been like if we didn't win, but I'm sure having us the victory made things a lot better. And it was a fun night, a lot of fun, and a lot of celebration, and maybe a little too much drinking here and there, but overall it was a good time.
Oh, that's awesome. And what's life been like since for you? What have you been up to? I mean, obviously you went through that amazing parade where the estimated crowds of nearly 700,000, and what else have you been up to since?
You know what? I ended up kind of going down to Houston, saw some college buddies. I had a kind of little gig down there in Seattle. Just kind of lying low. We do a lot of logistics, as far as your exit checklist is. You got to clean the locker, meet with the coaches, make sure you have all the schedule, that sort of stuff down. Like you said, the parade was a day-long event. So other than that, though, I've been kind of lying low and trying to decompress a little bit and get away from football. It was a long road. It was a lot of fun, but take a little time off and then get back at it here soon.
Now, you mentioned about decompressing. You get a chance to come home and really visit with everybody that you want to see here. But then what's next for you? What's the plan for the off-season?
So far in the off-season, it's kind of split up as far as our time off is. And right now, we have till the middle of April off. And I'll be actually in Windsor for the majority of that. And I've got a guy that I have a lot of faith in here in Windsor, and he does a great job. His name's Dave Orton. He's a trainer. Works over on Dougal at the Lifestyles, and I actually met with him today, kind of went over a schedule of exactly what I want to accomplish and how I want to get things done, and he's really going to help me get there. So that's kind of as far as the football aspect of it. I've got a few more things to cross a few more T's, dot a few more I's, but other than that, like I said, I'll probably lie low, just kind of get after it. I feel like for me personally, after my rookie year, I really have a good idea of what kind of shape my body needs to be in for next year and what kind of player I can become. So I really got to focus in on making that become a reality.
And we were talking a little earlier, there's been a few business opportunities arise too that you have to consider and put together a marketing team, if you can believe it, to kind of organize everything for you. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's one of those things, especially after the Super Bowl and more towards the later of the year, that there's a lot of people want autograph signings and all sorts of different kind of cool things. Actually, one of the reasons I was in Houston was I attended a party. One of the furniture guys down there lost $7 million in the game, and he bet, I think the deal was $6,000 of furniture. He'd return all of it, or all your money, if the Broncos won.
Right.
So he kind of had two separate return parties, and he figured it'd be kind of cool to get a Seahawk player down there. I guess kind of add to the whole theme of the night. So there's been a lot of things like that, and that's a little out of my realm as far as marketing and media goes. So I'm kind of putting together a team. I've got a few guys working for me right now, but it's all exciting. It keeps you busy too, though.
Oh, I can imagine you've been more than busy. I mean, you again were just talking about what a blur this past year has been for you, finishing college and combines and draft, and like you say, then boom, you're in Seattle and away you go. Yeah,
in that sense, it was a fun year, but it was tough to stay in it mentally from the entire time. Just in the sense of, like you said, you go right from college where you're a college player and you're kind of unsure about the NFL, and you train as hard as you can to try and make it. And then, I was kind of all over the country from training in Florida, All-Star game in L.A., back to Florida to continue training, head back to Rice for the pro day. And then from there, it's, you get individual workouts, and, you're flied up here. And I had a workout here in Detroit for a little bit. I had a couple school teams come down to Rice and work me out. And then it's, I was able to come home for the draft, kind of share that moment with some friends and family. But it was, and it was a great moment, but you kind of in the back of your head, hey, in a week or 2 weeks, you're in Seattle, kind of start your life, your new city up, and it's a little overwhelming, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And tell us, I mean, now that you are back home for a little bit, what were you most looking forward to? Is there a food you've been missing? Is a dish of your mom's, or?
Well, I'd say the two things I'm most looking forward to. One would be, I accomplished both of them today. I'm half Italian, so my nonna is, I'm always over there for lunch and, kind of spending time with my nonna and nonna, which is Italian for grandma and grandpa. It's definitely one thing I'm looking forward to. And the other is I've got a little sister I just love to harass. So, I didn't really do a great job of harassing her, but usually, she likes to sleep in, so I'll go wake her up in the morning and be that kind of that jerk older brother, but it's all in good fun. So,
yeah.
That's another thing. I kind of miss my siblings and my whole family in that sense. So it's fun to kind of be around them.
Well, and you mentioned an interesting thing: the chain of command within the family. You have two older brothers.
Yeah.
So you can be a Super Bowl champ, but when you come home, you're the little bro again that I'm sure got picked on growing up. And
yeah, definitely. And I always, it's funny because people always ask, how did a kid from LaSalle, make it to the NFL? And I always say that, for me, I think a large part of it was my two older brothers, because, being that little kid who was always picked on, and I always kind of had that fight in my heart, like, hey, I got to get him back, and I would never win, and they're always bigger or faster and stronger than me and older, but I would always try and keep up to their level, and I always kind of think that really propelled me as when I was younger to, become a better athlete and, kind of have that competitive spirit, if you will. So, I owe a lot to them, and we're all pretty close, and it's we have an interesting family dynamic, but it's a fun one.
Well, and you weren't going against a couple of cornerbacks and safeties either. They're offensive linemen. I mean, they could really put a beating on you if they wanted to.
Yeah, it was funny. I remember I played a lot of defensive end in high school, and Greg, the offensive lineman, one day our coach Matry at Villanova was like, we're going to have a Willson Showdown. I was a little punk kid, and I thought, I was like, I'm going to beat my brother. And I'll tell you, he knew everything I was going to do before I even did it. I lost every single time. I just remember getting more upset and more upset. And that was, to say the least, that was an awkward ride home. But,
yeah.
We laugh about it now.
Yeah, so. There must have been some interesting dinner table conversations, depending on how practice went and everything.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So.
Now, one last thing I just want to ask before we have to go. I mean, you were now the only athlete from this area to be in the Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. I mean, we've had three now in the NFL. O.J. Atogwe, Tyrone Crawford, now you. What's going on with football in this area?
I think that a large part of it is the Essex Ravens, but on top of that, I just believe that, we've always had a lot of talent athletically here, and I think football's really developing at both, like I said, the Ravens level, but also in high school. When I first got into the WMFA and went to high school, I feel like now it's really propelled to be better football. And at that sense, I think that, guys like us can maybe pave the way that, it's not always the hockey route or the traditional sports we play here, and that, there's a lot of talent here, and the teams are starting to figure that out, colleges and different organizations, and I think that's I think it's a great thing for the city, and it's something you can really be proud of. Like you said, to have three guys recently be in the NFL, and you know, all of them seem to be doing really well. It's a pretty cool experience.
Absolutely. It's a great tribute to this area.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time today, Luke.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.